This Week in Connecticut with Dennis House starts now.
Good morning. Straight ahead on this Sunday, October 13th, 2024. Reckless drivers all across our state. The speeds well over 100 miles an hour, putting lives in danger. Sergeant John List of Connecticut State Police joining us to talk about what's being done to slow down traffic. Will the state's highest ranking woman run for the top job? It all depends on Governor Lamont. Lieutenant Governor Susan Bysiewicz answers the question, does she want the governor to run for re-election? Jobs, transportation, new construction. Meet the man in charge of economic development, Commissioner Dan O'Keefe. Plus, hey, Governor, are you home? But first this morning, making your drive safer. Have you seen people flying by you on the highway going really, really fast? It's been happening with alarming frequency lately, and the speeds are staggering. Like this driver here, arrested, accused of driving over 130 miles an hour. And another accused speeder, this one, 126 miles an hour. He told police he thought he was going 80. I sat down with State Police to talk about this trend. And joining us now from the Connecticut State Police is Sergeant John List. And Sergeant List, thanks for being with us here today.
Thank you very much for having me, sir.
So we're all noticing, and we're having it on the news, these people who are arrested for speeding, and they're not just going 80 and a 65, right? They're going 125, as high as 140 miles an hour. What's happening?
So basically, I mean, the way that cars are made now, people don't even really realize how fast that they are going. And we've just seen an absolute uptick in it, especially going through COVID when the highways were so empty. It's kind of just carried on. So what we're trying to do at the State Police, we put together a fatal mitigation initiative, which basically uses the statistics from our agency, DOT, and Yukon, and it basically puts where the hot zones are. So basically, we offer extra patrols in those areas so that we can go out there and then hopefully bring the level of fatalities down, because unfortunately when you're going at speeds that fast, it's usually not a very good outcome.
And for a foundation for this conversation, the maximum speed in Connecticut, correct me if I'm wrong, is 65. That's the highest it can be anywhere, and that's only in certain parts of interstates, correct?
Correct. Mostly in the cities it drops down to the 55, but 65 is the max speed limit on any highway in the state of Connecticut.
And some cities and towns is 25, right?
Correct.
Is the max.
Correct.
So, but we're seeing these people who are going, in some cases, double the speed limit, and then they're taking off from you, right?
Correct.
You know, so a state trooper will put his or her lights on, chase that person for a little bit, and then they just keep accelerating.
Correct.
At what point do you stop chasing them?
Well, at some point you have to outweigh the risks and reward. If it's just a traffic traffic violation, is that really worth putting the public's risking the public getting injured for over a speed? Sometimes, most of the time when somebody does take off, there might be an underlying issue that's happening in the car that you may not necessarily know is happening unless they actually stop. But like I said, the ultimate goal is to just keep the public safe. And unfortunately, sometimes you have to make that call whether or not the risk outweighs the reward there.
And some of these have deadly consequences, these high-speed drivers out there, because they've hit people.
Correct.
And you hit someone going 85, 100 miles an hour, it doesn't end well.
Yeah, correct. I mean, I've seen from my career, I mean, if anything over 90 miles an hour, or I mean, really 65 miles an hour, I mean, you hit somebody, I mean, you're taking your life into risk. So at those speeds, even a little bit, you could think you're the best driver in the world, but if somebody pulls over, cuts you off, or there's something in the road and you swerve, I mean, it's very unlikely that you may survive that traffic accident. So
what's, in your judgment, what's the mindset of some of these drivers? I know because we see them afterwards, we see them in their mug shots. Some are smiling, and some look kind of dazed, and the excuses range from, well, I didn't know I was going that fast, to, we had one last week, I think, I was driving in from Brazil.
Yeah.
Which is probably impossible.
Yeah, exactly. That would be impressive. Yes, that would be impressive.
So, what is the mindset?
So, what I really think the mindset is people think it can't happen to me, or it won't happen to me. People, they're in these vehicles that, like I said, that you could look down and you're going 100 miles an hour and not even notice it. But nobody really actually thinks that they're going to crash or crash into somebody and then eventually either hurt themselves or somebody else until it actually happens to them. And then at that point, it's a little too late, unfortunately.
So how do you catch these people? Are there cameras that maybe you can tell from, this live camera how fast they're going, and you put someone out after them?
So basically, I mean, we have two different things. We have a radar, a laser, and then we have an aircraft for speed enforcement. Basically, we have a wide variety of vehicles out there too, ranging from Chevy Tahoes to Dodge Durangos to Dodge Chargers. So what we do, I'm in the traffic services unit. So what we do is we go out and we target those high hit areas. So most of the time we'll try to find a good spot where we can kind of not give away that we're there. And go out and then hopefully make as many contacts as possible. And sometimes, it could range from a warning to an infraction to an arrest. But the main goal is educating the public and making sure that there's some kind of deterrence for people not to go these fastest speeds. So.
What happens to these people when they go to court? Can they have their license taken away if they're going too fast?
Yes, correct. So anything 85 miles an hour and above in the state of Connecticut is considered reckless driving. Okay. So which is a misdemeanor. So that's more than just a traffic ticket. That's a court date, and you go and have to see a judge. So at that point, it's up to the judge, and they decide on whether or not they want to suspend the license.
You and your colleagues have gone through rigorous training. You drive at high speeds, at tracks and things like that to learn how to handle a car. So the advice for people who may be watching tonight, what happens when you go over a certain amount of speed? You do lose control, correct?
Yeah, so you lose control. Not only that, you lose time to react. So let's say you're driving 65 miles an hour, car stops in front of you. You have a little bit more time as opposed to if you're driving 120 miles an hour. That time is obviously gonna narrow down, and those milliseconds make a huge difference. Like I said, if you're maneuvering turns and stuff like that, especially in not so good weather, inclement weather, that obviously takes an effect too at the speeds as well.
These high-speed incidents have happened in pretty much every highway in Connecticut, from Route 9 to 95. Is there a place where speeding is most prevalent?
Yeah, so basically from our stats that we put together, 91 is kind of the hot spot right now. So like I said, we're making a valiant effort to put as many extra enforcement patrols there to try to crack down on that, because even if you're in that area just slowing, you don't even necessarily have to stop somebody, but just you being out there and then stopping another car and having 300 cars drive by you, that causes people to hit their brakes and kind of think twice about when they come through that area again.
So more of you will be out there?
Correct.
In the coming days, weeks, and months as we head into the holidays?
Yeah, correct. So we, like I said, we had the fatal reduction initiative, and what that has done, we've actually seen the up to the date for September 30th, fatals are down 10% from last year in the highways that we patrol. So
it's getting dangerous out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. So keep fighting the good fight.
All right, Sergeant John List, get it correctly in case he pulls you over, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, Sergeant. We appreciate the insight.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
And in a moment, the race for governor in 2026.